What's happening, everybody? So in this chat, I want to talk about timing. I get a lot of tuning questions, and a lot of guys have a misconception about the safety of a tune, and I put that in air quotes because it's a misconception. Guys think that less timing means the tune is safer, and really nothing in some cases could be farther from the truth. This is typically talking about guys with boosted applications, running a lot of boost, and the timing number is the number that you're trying to get to that gives you the most efficient combustion. Well, in some cases, the fuel that you're running doesn't allow for a certain amount of timing. So instead of just simply reducing the manifold pressure, which is to say reducing the boost and running a correct amount of timing for the combination, what guys will try to do is they'll lower the timing, thinking that the lower power value is somehow or another safe. So I want to talk about that for a minute and maybe put to rest some misconceptions. First of all, if you're concerned with pre-ignition, which is to say the fuel is igniting before the spark plug actually fires, then it doesn't matter what you have your timing set at. A lot of degrees of timing, lower degrees of timing, it doesn't matter if you're running into pre-ignition issues. So there's that, and that can take place on a cold engine, hot engine, whatever the case may be. Again, it's not a question of timing, it's a question of you're running way too much manifold pressure for the capabilities of the fuel that you're running. So let's say then that you decide that you want to run less timing with this particular build, and you think that you're being conservative with timing. That's not necessarily true. You can be overly conservative with timing, which will spike your exhaust gas temperatures. So if you start to ramp up your exhaust gas temperatures, what happens is you can wreck your exhaust valve. It's in the business, we call it tuliping. And the reason why it's called tuliping is it literally looks like the valve looks like the flower, the tulip flower, because it's pulling that valve up into the valve seat itself, which is in essence meaning that you're kind of getting the exhaust valve so hot that the metal is getting soft. You might say, well, why wouldn't it do that anyway? Well, the reason why it wouldn't do that anyway with the right amount of timing is because when that exhaust valve is seated, any heat that it encounters is dissipated into the cylinder head. The rest of the heat is taken up in actually creating the expanding gases, the explosion, if you will, to drive that cylinder down into the cylinder itself. And the extra heat is also absorbed by the cylinder itself, which is then also surrounded, presumably if it's a street engine, by coolant. Not enough timing, in other words, way under-timed, can create that condition. So the car doesn't make near the power, and you think, well, it's safe, but it's actually not. You're potentially slowly cooking that exhaust valve and creating a significant issue. Another thing that can happen is obviously if you're running catalytic converters and you're trying to reduce that timing, you can end up killing your catalytic converter because, again, EGTs are so high. The right way to go about it is to run the appropriate amount of boost for the fuel that you'll be using, and then run the appropriate amount of timing for that fuel and for that boost level. Do not get in the habit of thinking that running less timing is safer. Again, that's the myth that I want to try to put to rest here. And always have your car tuned by somebody who speaks fluently the language of your brand. It could be Dodge, Chevy, Ford, Nissan, Toyota, it doesn't matter. Take it to a shop that speaks that language and has quite a bit of experience tuning that combination that you're wanting to run. You want to see that car on a loaded eddy current dyno to where you can actually run through a timing sweep under a significant load to see where the car wants to be timed. And then if you add timing and there's no real power gain, pull back the timing slightly by a degree or two, and that's your new street timing value. Again, trying to drag timing down is going to do nothing but increase exhaust gas temperatures, which can yield exhaust valve failure, catalytic converter failure if you're running them, and will give you a false sense of security when you really shouldn't have it. The reality is that you lower your manifold pressure, time it accurately, make sure you've got enough fuel system to where all of that will work and be harmonious in its action, and you'll have a very safe street or race tune. And that's a wrap on this one. Y'all have a great one. Adios.